talk. Let's get the particulars out of the way first. First of all, this movie is directed by David Gordon Brown, or David Brown Gordon. It's one of those. I may have looked at his name a few minutes ago just to make sure I got it right. I don't know. Somebody in the comment section, call me an idiot and correct me down below, please. You know, we have a routine here. The movie stars Jamie Lee Curtis, and it stars, I think her name is Madicon or Madicat, the girl who plays Allison, Laurie's daughter, granddaughter, I guess, because her daughter died in the last movie. Oh shit, spoilers for Halloween Kills if you haven't seen that movie already. It also stars somebody named Rohan Campbell. I think that's his name. I'm gonna try to dance on eggshells here a little bit. So this movie takes place 4 years after the events of Halloween Kills. Michael Myers, the infamous boogeyman, has disappeared and nobody knows where he is. Laurie is now living with her granddaughter and she's trying to like move on with her life. And then a mysterious young man played by Rohan comes into their life. Anything else would feel like a spoiler. Like, I can tell you about the movie, I can't tell you why certain things happen the way that they happen in the movie, but that's as good as the synopsis you're gonna get from this channel. You've probably been sold a bill of goods on what the movie actually is. Like, you saw the trailers and it made it seem like it was this big epic build up to one final epic showdown between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. I like the fact that you're excited that that's the movie you're about to see. That is not the movie that you're gonna get, actually. It's not that. I mean, yeah, sure, like Laurie and Michael, they have a fight, like you saw it in the trailer. Sure, there's an epic showdown, but it happens like in the last 10 to 15 minutes of the movie. That's not what the point of the actual movie is. Like, the actual crux of what the story is, it's about something completely different. Something that I will not be spoiling here. I will say this, Michael Myers is in the movie at least, you know, for like, I don't know, maybe 8 minutes. But don't worry, Laurie Strode is also in this movie a lot more than she was in Halloween Kills. I know that was a complaint that a lot of people had about Halloween Kills. She's in this movie a lot more, although it does still feel like she's being saved for the finale, so there is that. What I can tell you is that the movie is competently directed. It has some good shot selection. I mean, obviously Jamie Lee Curtis, she is the perfect Laurie. Like, she's been Laurie all this time. She could play this role blindfolded with her hands tied behind her back pretty much at this point. She captures all of the emotion, all the vulnerability, all the badassery that you would come to associate with Laurie Strode at this point in her life and this point in the franchise. Rohan is actually really, really good, even though his character is probably gonna be the most divisive thing about this movie. Why is his character divisive? Again, I can't really say why, because that would, you know, that would make this video a lot longer than it needs to be. Like, this movie could have just given the fans what they wanted and everybody would have been happy and everybody would have been praising. This movie is not the Halloween movie that you typically see. In fact, it's a Halloween movie that I don't think I've ever seen them, at least as far as going in this type of direction with the story. It's a movie that's much more focused on self-reflection and meditation than it is on carnage and body count. I love the fact that there is somebody named Rohan in this movie and that Lord of the Rings is so heavy on my mind, because also the Rings of Power finale, I am gonna be talking about that soon. But it's also very appropriate because in Lord of the Rings, at least in the books and in the original trilogy, it was really more about the presence of Sauron and the impact of Sauron on the communities of Middle-earth than it was about Sauron physically being there and doing shit, you know? Likewise, this movie is really more about the presence of Michael Myers. It's really more about the boogeyman in your mind, the survivor's guilt, the trauma, like all of that stuff. If nothing else, I appreciate the fact that they tried to go in a different direction. Now, one of the things that fans are going to hate about this movie is that it went in a different direction. There are some pretty awesome kills and carnage towards the end of the film. Like, if you're looking for that, you're gonna get some of that in the third act of the movie. And there are some pretty creative kills that they rack up. I think this movie does suffer from some pacing issues. The first act and the second act of the movie is really focused on the building up of a certain relationship. I gotta be honest, your investment in this relationship and in the characters involved in said relationship, it might determine how bored you are with this movie. And unfortunately, I would say there was one aspect of the relationship I wasn't that invested in, and it does kind of feel like the movie is waiting for the other shoe to drop. Because of that, it makes you feel like you're kind of sitting around twiddling your thumbs waiting for Michael Myers to show up. Like I said, this movie goes in a different direction. That different direction does not involve Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, as I've already hinted at in this review. They're really not the focus of this movie. They feel like background characters in the movie. Now, the approach that they took, I probably would have appreciated this movie more if it had been like the first movie, or maybe like a spin-off movie, an anthology movie or something like that. But because it's the concluding chapter to a trilogy, it's a very bold and unorthodox choice to take your main protagonist and your main antagonist and basically sideline them until the third act of the movie. The biggest issue that I have with this movie is that it feels like there's two different movies in this movie, both competing for attention. Both sides of the story that they're trying to tell end up distracting and taking away from the other part of the story that they're trying to nail. You have a movie that has the epic ending, the epic conclusion that people are waiting for. That feels kind of tacked on when you look at how they focused on the rest of the movie. And then they're focusing on this new direction for the movie and all this interesting thematic shit. And you're like, oh, okay, this is kind of heavy. Then they kind of abandon it and throw it away, and it kind of means nothing by the end of the movie. They abandon it because they go back to the tried and true Halloween formula, and it kind of just feels like, oh, okay, like Green Goblin said, back to formula. If the movie had focused up and actually focused and dedicated its time to telling one of these stories without having them competing with each other, I feel like the movie actually would have been more satisfying. But they ruin each other's endings to the point that you don't walk away feeling completely satisfied in either storyline and how all of that coalesced and meshed together. You could complain about some moments being cringe, some moments being corny, some moments being dumb. I mean, you could do that for a lot of Halloween movies. It's really more failed execution in terms of there could be a scene that's set up perfectly and it's a perfect scene and it doesn't really need anything else, but then like the movie does something stupid to ruin the scene and you're just kind of like, dude, why the fuck did you do that? If you tell me that you hate this movie with a passion and it's disrespectful to everything that Halloween is, yeah, I understand. However, if you were to tell me that you love the movie or you liked it and you think that it's different and it's fun and it's fresh and unique and stuff, I'm like, yeah, okay, I can kind of see that. After all these movies in the Halloween franchise, it's kind of, you know, refreshing to get something refreshing. Since I feel equally good and bad about this movie, I'm gonna leave this one in the Fortress of Solitude. Also, Michael Myers, not nearly as badass or as intimidating as he usually is. I don't know if that was by design, but it's just some moments in this movie have you going like, come on, Michael, what the hell was that? Tell me how long you could last in a kitchen against Michael Myers. Like if you had to fight Michael Myers to the death in a kitchen, he's got his knife, you've got everything else in the kitchen. How long could you last? Could you whoop his ass, or would he kill you in like 0.002 seconds? Let me know in the comment section down below. Please like and subscribe to the Superfan Show. And if you like what you see, tell me how you feel and stay tuned to hear more from the Man of Steel. Peace.